What up, FIFA Tears, and welcome to the FUT Tears podcast. It is our 6-month anniversary of the podcast. We uploaded our first episode of the FUT Tears podcast 6 months ago with my fellow co-hosts Brad and Luke. How are you both doing? How does it feel to know that we have been doing this for 6 months now?
Actually, initially when you first said it earlier, it surprised me. It doesn't feel like 6 months. I think it's because I feel like we're still relatively new to this, maybe.
In a way, I'm going to disagree. It's just, not just to create random controversy at the start of the podcast, but this FIFA feels like it's lasted more than 6 months. So
yeah, okay, that's
we
the point.
started 2 weeks beforehand. So it kind of... The podcast doesn't feel like it's been going for 6 months, but FIFA definitely feels like it's been going longer than that. So I'm not shocked.
It definitely does, because especially like the interest in this year's FIFA has waned quite quickly, which helps make it feel like it's dragged on a bit longer.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I've started branching into other stuff at this point.
Well, and I think it says a lot when you're hearing look, this year was the first time I ever heard of people doing things like 2-week RTGs just to try and reinvigorate their interest again. And because obviously you can grind a lot of players, it's been able to do that. Yeah. But is that a good thing that they've had to kind of reinvent an account to just reinvigorate the game for themselves again? Probably not.
As I was about to touch on as well, me and Mers have joined an online career mode in the Discord to try and reinvigorate our enjoyment of this FIFA.
Yeah.
You saw my reaction to one of those games yesterday. Which
I did.
Is a lot to be desired. And Leo, if you're listening, I still haven't forgiven you.
It wasn't a deserved victory. I'm going to put it out there, Leo. Sorry, mate.
I'm toning this down because this is on the podcast. But my feelings have been made known in that VOD.
But with that just said, we now got Team 2 for FUT Birthday being released. And, well, before I touch on the players, just to show how bad pack weight is, I spent 1.5 million coins on packs and got one of the FUT Birthdays from Team 2. So, yeah,
what packs did you open?
That. So I opened up the 125k packs, which gave you the free mega pack as well. Mm-hmm. So I think I did 6 or 8. I think it was 8 of those.
Wow.
So then 8 mega packs. I did 3 50k packs, and I did about 5 or 6 of the 8k packs, which are the ones that have the guaranteed 85 plus, I think it is, guaranteed in the pack, and it comes with 4 or 5 other players. Yeah. The total value of, because I worked it out, the total value roughly of the players that I could get back was about 500k.
I don't think working that out was ever going to end up good, was it?
No, it wasn't. But I just went absolutely nuts, and that's what I ended up doing last night. But obviously, with Team 2, I think the honourable mention should be said about Dani Alves back into the thick of things now in FIFA 22, because obviously they added him to the database just before. Obviously, Team 2, FUT Birthday was released, so it was kind of a given that this was going to be coming. So Dani Alves is properly back now. A lot of these players have already had some special cards this year. So you got Bobby Firmino, Fekir, Lucas Paqueta. Has NDD got a... I swear NDD's got a special card.
No, he usually has one every year, though.
Yeah, he got the team of the season. He got the road to the final last year. He had the team of the season SBC the year before, I think.
I think it's because for a while he was the kind of main Nigerian player, whereas actually there's more now in the game.
Yes.
And I think he's just a really solid, dependable CDM as well. Generally, if you look at it, round team of the season time, he's getting 80 pace, maybe 79. It's enough for a centre mid, is what I'll say. You can definitely get away with it.
It does look like a nice team of the week. There's some good, nice cards on there. Obviously, the most expensive card at the moment is Dybala at 1.4 million. Cheapest one is Njiku, who I packed from my 1.5 million worth of packs.
Well done,
for
GG's.
15k. So, yay! I feel like I'm a rich man now.
Besides, Brad, you've got to be happy. You asked for this card. It's just you wanted it in
I know,
SBC
I have,
form
and I would love it. It was incredible, the Moments card last year, and I imagine this card's going to be very close to that, and I would love to pack it. So I'll be doing some more of the 81 plus picks in an attempt to try and get it, I reckon.
SBC wise, we've had Ramos come out last night. Did Ramos, because I always like using a Ramos. Like ultra aggressive centre backs, and you know, if you like going up the pitch, he's a bit expensive, obviously, but I think he's worth doing. Good old Sergio Ramos.
I see he was coming in at 550k.
Yeah, I think he was around 500 last night, so I think he's gone up a tiny bit. I think the fodder for him coming out is driven fodder up a little bit. So, because everyone tends to like a little bit of Ramos. Plus, obviously, PSG and French League, everybody pretty much, every Tom, Dick and Harry is using a Ligue 1 team, it feels like, this year.
Not me.
Oh, that's how I feel. Then we have a good old former Arsenal player, Coquelin, who came out. Going to be doing him. Tonight we've had Ricardo Quaresma, so if you like offshoot leagues,
he looks very good for his price.
A bit different. He does look quite good for his price, but to be fair, you can't really overprice something like that. You got to make it a nice, cheap price, I got to say. How much is he? Because I had to look how much he is. 82 and 84 rates.
72k.
Yeah, 72, yeah.
That's not too bad with the two teams. It would have been nice if maybe one of the squads only had a team of the week, I would have said, was Ricardo Quaresma, rather than both of them needing a team of the week. Is any of these FUT Birthday Team 2s catching your eye? One in?
Yeah, so the obvious one for me is Dybala. I packed the Davison Sanchez in my 86 plus pack, the token pack. So I'd like to try it, but I don't think he's necessarily caught my eye. I just want to see what the card's like in game, because I've actually got a double Premier League centre-back partnership anyway. I've got Twanzebe and who's the other one? Oh, Chalobah. One of the many few people that did the centre-back card. And so I want to see whether he's any better than either of those two. But they're pretty good, to be fair.
What about maybe having in front of them an NDD? Because that's quite cheap.
Well, I've got Desai, and in that pack I also got Kante, but I like just having my one CDM, so I play 4-3-1-2, and then my other sort of three, my cam and my two centre mids, join the attack. So yeah, I only have one kind of sitting back.
What about you, Luke? I know you're taking a bit of a partial hiatus away from the games, but will you try out any of these players?
So I've packed one of them when I have been on this game, and I got really excited because I thought, clearly he's going to be worth a fortune, because Danny Aarons wouldn't let this card be worth only 40k. But no, it turns out Silas throwaway. What's that? 5-star, isn't it? Yeah,
yep.
5-star, 95 pace. Forget about it. No. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Danny, get on this.
Yeah.
You want this affordable for everyone?
What?
Make skyrocket. What's up?
Welcome to the state of the FIFA 22 market, boys and girls.
Indeed. But obviously for the Colombians, there's two standouts. Colombia and Spurs, classic. And then there's also Conrad Lima, helps my RB Leipzig past and present always progress.
Yeah, that card looks quite good. Kind of. What card did he have? Was it either last year or the year before?
Lima.
I'm trying to remember what he had. It was an SBC, I'm pretty sure.
Lima.
Might have been Footmas.
He had a Footmas right back.
Might have been a Footmas card.
Something. Yeah.
Yeah,
something
it was
along those
freeze,
lines. Yeah.
I think it was last year's freeze
Freeze.
right back.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. Foot freeze. That card was quite good. I used him for a fair amount of time. But other than that, I think FUT Birthday is looking pretty good. But I think from listening to other people's opinions in streams, seems like a lot of and reading Twitter as well, a lot of people don't seem to be heavily invested and think in high regards to this year's FUT Birthday in comparison to previous years.
Do you think part of that is, though, that the fact that some people have already done with the game?
That is probably a little bit to do with it, yes.
Because I think that, like, it's got to be... You've kind of got to... For instance, if they somehow, which they won't be able to, avoided giving Ronaldo his team of the week this week, that is obviously going to reinvigorate some people this weekend who have played FUT Champs. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So they'll play...
I don't know.
I think so. It's that sort of thing that people like get invested in again, even though the chances of packing him are extremely slim, but it will. I think you'll find that more people will be more invested to play FUT Champs than they have been in the previous weeks, especially in that time where we had the awful back-to-back Team of the Weeks not so long ago.
Be interesting. Maybe I'll have to put it out there on Twitter to the community and see what they think.
Yeah, if there was a way to like get those statistics about how many people are playing FUT Champs and things, I think like it'd be interesting to see that. Like if you could see how many players were online on FUT Champs mode at one time or something, that would be quite an interesting statistic to see.
And with FUT Birthday, there's always the opportunity for EA to make mistakes, and that has happened yet again, hasn't it, Luke?
Yeah, of course they have. Quite the obvious thing to happen, and it's not the only one. The question is, which one do we want to tackle first? I'll leave the floor to you guys. Do you want to tackle the FUT Birthday Team 1, Team 2 issue?
Yeah, we're on FUT Birthday. Let's do the FUT Birthday first. Yeah.
Okay, so obviously EA, they're smart people. You know, they're from Birmingham. That's where they're based. They're smart people, famously around there. So if you go ahead and you take a trip to the swaps section, you see that for a mere 10 tokens, you can get yourself a FUT Birthday Team 1 pack. So obviously when you open that, you'd expect a Team 1 player, wouldn't you? Wrong answer. What EA did, and the only thing that I think would have been worse is if they'd have included a free FUT Birthday token in there. But yeah, they managed to hand out Team 2 players, so people are getting rewarded with Dybalas, Firminos, and the likes, whilst they're still going to get a refund and get what they were actually advertised. Which,
that's the incredible thing. As
a beneficiary of this in the past, I'm all on board with rewarding the community for EA balls ups. Mine famously is with icons, which let's not forget they've done as well this week. Which when we move on to let's just move on swiftly into there then, where we find ourselves. And I say it was 10 tokens. It was also in the player pick for 22. But I don't think people were getting that far for that one. We move though to the icons, and in the mid or prime icon player pick, what's the one thing EA could not do? They just could not do it, and that's include moments. And people were getting, I saw people getting prime Pele, but because technically there's moments in there was a moments, I think it's a terrible moments alongside it, but someone had prime Pele and they're going to get a second reroll of a mid or prime. They've already hit the jackpot, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But fair play to them. They're gonna absolutely be not even hustling EA. This isn't hustling, but they're gonna get rewarded.
I've seen some people even kind of like semi-exploit it in the sense that some people that got a what would say is a average moments card but had a better option to pick in terms of better in game, they chose the moments because they know they're going to get refunded to give themselves another shot at getting a better player.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
You know what? Why
I mean,
not?
all they had to do was just include a picture, because as we've said in the past, when it comes to stuff like this, even down to the minor details, the fact that in my base middle prime that I opened back in the day, about 2 months ago, that was 100 less icons that it could have been. Yeah, and that skews the ratio a little bit more, and vice versa. So actually, it probably would have made my chances a little bit better. But this way around, there's so many more bad versions of bad icons.
Yeah.
Even moments. Some of the moments cards are still very good, even if they are not desirable.
Yeah.
So as I believe I pointed out last week, Van Basten even looks alright in moments this year. Yeah.
But yeah, there are a lot of bad
EA
ones.
Mess ups.
Yeah.
What number do we predict we're on? I know there's someone on Twitter who's probably got an account dedicated to this, but how many EA mess ups do you think there's been this year? As just a vague guess.
I'd say 7.
7.
It's about 137, I
Oh,
think.
do you follow an account then that does that? If you're going that specific, I'm assuming you actually would know. Okay. 7, Brad. You.
I was thinking of more like I was thinking, sorry, in terms of what you were just we were just talking about, not in terms of like little ones.
Oh no, EA mess ups. Sorry, I left that as a blanket statement. EA
right, yeah, no, then there's a lot more. Like generally, the gameplay as a whole mess up for a start.
Yep.
I mean, it doesn't go to the
I don't think it goes into that micro detail where if it hits your player on the back of the head and bounces back.
Oh my god,
I
can't even. That was just such a bad moment in my life.
Otherwise, the counter would be in the millions or something like that.
Oh yeah, exactly. And talking of moments, just briefly, this wasn't even mentioned as a topic this week, but I thought I'd touch on it. The second team of Prime Icon moments have been released.
Yes.
So that's something to briefly touch on. We touched on most of them last week. Let's take a look at some of the interesting ones in here. See if there's any position changes that I notice. So straight off the bat, Deco's now left mid.
Yeah, I don't know why they seem to be doing this. They've taken a couple of the bad cards and put them at left mid.
Anyone else?
Maybe they're just trying to add a bit of variety to the wings for icons, because obviously the number of cams and centre mids and stuff are always quite numerous.
A bit of variety as to where you can have your strong links, I think, is probably the only thing that makes it relevant. The extra variety who you can have for a team takedown or squad builder showdown or something like that.
Exactly. So I'm looking at one of the cards I did see, and this is I saw Chuffsters, I believe, on Twitter mentioning this, is that he may have fixed Thierry Henry at striker now by giving him somewhat competent balance. He now has 81 balance compared to his primes.
He's a card I can honestly say that anytime I've used him, I've not been.
Plus 15 boost in balance. So
I'm not a fan of him in game. Not gonna lie.
What normally Thierry Henry, yeah?
Just any of them. I don't know whether it's his body type or something. No, not the moments this year, but I tried it last year when. But yeah, I just don't. Something about him in the game. I don't know. I feel like they've done him dirty in gameplay for some reason.
Maybe this will be the year, because a plus 15 in balance is very noticeable.
Yes.
So that might have been the issue that he previously had about.
I'd like to try and maybe see what he's like this year.
He had 66 balance on his prime. Now it's 81.
66 is terrible, isn't it?
Exactly. That's awful. I'll tell you who has more than that as standard. Just
Andre
gold
Silva.
rare 84 Andre Silva.
As much as you love the guy, I don't think there's much in terms of debate as to who is probably the better player in their prime at the moment.
Well, I can tell you 100% across all FIFAs I've scored more goals of Andre Silva than I have Thierry Henry.
Well, yes. I'd also like to know how many games you played with each.
Let's not get into that. Let's just stick with the Andre Silva's got a goal contribution per game, whilst Henry doesn't. That's the important statistic there.
Okay. But yeah, I can't say generally with icons this year. I can't say there's any that I've looked at and thought I want to try them, or I looked and I thought they look that great. Everyone would have seen, if they've watched our episode together, and if they've not, it's in my last episode of another icon pack. My icon pack luck is absolutely terrible. I do not get good icons yet. For some reason, I'm a glutton for punishment.
Rating for an SBC?
I'm doing it. Yeah, he's already gone a long time ago. I think probably like the day after. But I am doing another one for glutton's punishment as well. I don't understand it. I'm just recycling all the icons that I've had.
If this was a video right now that I was editing, this podcast right now, if this was an edit that I was doing, I would be including the VAS sort of talk from Far Cry 3, where it's the definition of insanity.
Yes, exactly. Yep, repeating the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
Exactly.
You can call me insane, that's absolutely fine. And what is insane is the virtual assistant referee at the moment. I don't know what you guys have seen on much of this week's football, and we will obviously get on to the actual This Week in Football and Team of the Week in a moment, but I just want to touch on a couple of things going on in football at the moment. The first one being VAR. Been some terrible decisions recently. So if we go back a little further back, a couple of weeks ago when Everton played Man City with the obvious handball from Rodri, I think didn't Pep try to claim that there was offside in the build up anyway?
Yes,
so it wouldn't have mattered or something. That was I think that was clutching at straws, as we'd say. Then this weekend is probably what I would say has been the worst weekend in terms of the most obvious of things to not turn over. So the first one I would say will be Luis Diaz. If you guys haven't seen the Liverpool game, then you need to go and watch highlights of it somewhere and see that as Luis Diaz scores his goal, and by the way, that guy is phenomenal and looks like... what I find phenomenal about it as well is that he's come into a Liverpool team that already look dangerous and has now given him another option to be able to rest some of their big players or have different options in their front three, and he looks like he's going to fit in very, very nicely and already is. But he comes in, he's chasing down a ball to header to beat, is it Alvarez his name? I can't remember. Sanchez, sorry. And basically he gets high knee Daniel Bryan clattered in the jaw as he goes down, or it's just like under his jaw, but like in the top of his chest. Yeah, sacrifices himself for a goal, which everyone loves to see. We've seen it in the opposite terms for John Terry back in the day when he threw himself at a defensive header and got knocked out. And somehow there's no red card. And no one could believe it when you watch Match of the Day. None of the pundits could believe it. I don't think anybody probably watching the game could believe it, even the away fans themselves. And then the other thing was the very, very obvious Chelsea Newcastle penalty against Chelsea. I mean, if it's not for the fact that when he steps in and tackles him down, that's a foul anyway. Before that, he's got like a full fist of his shirt. So yeah, Newcastle were robbed of a penalty there, and actually with them going 1-0 up there, that would have changed the game and probably got them in the top 8.
But that's not good for their top 8 hopes.
No,
sounds like they're the ones swerving off the road at that point.
But seriously, yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen them. What are your thoughts generally around VAR at the moment and its mistakes, its errors? Do you think it just needs improvements, tweaking? Do you think that they need to be mic'd up so we can hear what they're saying about the challenges? What do you think is going to be kind of like solutions or whatever?
I personally do think mic'd up, yeah.
Yeah, like rugby basically, where you get to hear the referees, what they're talking about, including the people inside the VAR
booth.
Yes,
definitely,
well.
definitely.
Yeah, the booth.
You can't just have one. You got to have them both, haven't you?
Yeah,
absolutely.
So you can.
I think the good thing about that will be the good thing about that will be that it, and this is probably why they're reluctant to do it at the moment. It will show accountability, because at the moment, you know, it's VAR as a whole, or it's the person that ultimately makes the decision down on the pitch. But actually, this will show some accountability if someone is saying, "Go and check the VAR screen." Although I'm not sure that this is a penalty. That is already kind of that putting that little seed in that referee's head. And it'll be interesting to see what's kind of language and the way they sort of discuss things like that if they're talking about the incident. And then the other big thing, so as we talk about Chelsea and Newcastle, is obviously what is happening with Chelsea at the moment. So obviously there are going to be some hefty sanctions coming in for them due to obviously Roman Abramovich's dealings. What's the right word to say here? I want to say it seems harsh, but at the same time, every week so far they've chanted his name pretty much throughout the game. I think it seems harsh in terms of punishing fans, players and staff. But
yeah,
at the same time, I also do agree that action needs to be taken. So where do you kind of, where do you find a line?
I think there was probably a better way that this could have been handled, for instance, in terms of... I don't think Chelsea as a club needed sanctions. I think what they should have done is try to maybe put some control. If they wanted it to be a situation of, we don't want Roman Abramovich to be getting any money or earning any money from Chelsea Football Club, maybe they should have put some controls into place and said, right, Chelsea, any money you make, you got to keep it in your club. We do not want to be seeing any money go into the owner, right? We want him sanctioned. We don't want him having any money so that he can potentially pass it on to whatever's going on. But it does seem a bit harsh to the lengths that it's going to, because obviously it's put in a restriction how much they can spend.
Yes.
They've put in a restriction to the fact that they can't renew contracts because obviously they need money to do that. And they've got some key players as well.
Oh, definitely. I think
leaving in the summer.
I think you got to think about Rudiger like being kind of the main focal talking point of this. He's been so influential for them this season, and even if he didn't have his sights set on leaving, because we don't know for sure. I think there was some talk about that before this even happened. I think there was some talk about him potentially going regardless. But then on top of it, he's now not even going to be able to have a contract discussion by the sounds of things. So he's kind of forced to leave anyway. And he's been so influential at that defence this year that it just, it's like you say, it's what can you do? That they might have had a talk to try and keep him. They might have an injury where they would be forced to kind of talk to want to keep him and give him a better deal. But now it's out of their hands completely. Yeah,
exactly. It's out of their hands. They can't really do much. They just got to wait until this takeover happens. Yeah. Supposedly it's going to happen in the next week or so.
I also heard something though that if they carry on, they're talking about stopping the bids.
Yeah, I'd heard about this. If it's this is something I'd heard in a group chat, so I don't know. I don't have a trustworthy source on this. This is just word of mouth. But from if they keep chanting for Roman Abramovich,
that is what I heard. Yeah,
that's what I'd said this to you pre-podcast as well. I don't know that's what's sticking out, whether that's something you'd heard separately. Because if you heard it separately, then that's more validity to it.
Yeah, it was before tonight, yeah.
It was before tonight, okay. So, if they keep chanting for it, they'll stop accepting bids and the likes, which, if that's true, fully on a if that's true basis, that's almost robbery.
It's big. Yeah, it's
dooming a club. We look at the situation that's happening to Derby, that's happened in the past to clubs like Bury. Do we think it can reach that level? Probably not, but do we want to even give it a chance to? No.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason it's not going to happen to them at that size is because of the money involved, isn't it? That's the only thing that's like protecting them, is the status of the club and the money. But really, it's no different in scenarios, and the punishments are still going to be in equivalence to that. The only difference is it's not going to send them under, but it might set them back a few years. You'll have to let us know on Twitter what you guys think of this. Obviously, we don't tend to sort of put topics out on Twitter about what we're going to talk about on the podcast, because we want it to be fresh when you guys hear it. But now, obviously, after listening to this, let us know what your thoughts are, and by the time obviously the podcast comes out, there may even be more news about it, so we may be able to shed some more light on the situation. But yeah, just let us know what you guys think. Do you think it's really harsh? Do you think how it can be managed better? What you think they need to do? And if any of your Chelsea supporters, whether you've been affected in that so far by it, and if you've been in the ground, what the atmosphere's been like.
Well, obviously they're not able to sell tickets anymore, so whether they have to give them out is then going to be put into question.
What, just to fill the stadium up? Yeah, maybe.
Whether they can't sell tickets to home or away supporters, they're only able to give them out.
It's just the season ticket holders, isn't it?
Season ticket holders who've already paid.
Yeah.
They've been issuing refunds to people who I believe had advanced bookings. So it's a mess for that basically Chelsea have gone from the highest of highs this year of being the world champions, being the European champions, to uncertainty at the moment. Really, is
massive
the
uncertainty.
Best way to describe it.
Yeah.
And it's got to the point where even EA have kicked up a sort of fuss about this, and they're no longer giving out Chelsea special cards. Hence, we don't have Hakim Ziyech. Hakim Ziyech got pulled from this week's FUT Birthday. That was something the leakers. It's not something the leakers got wrong. It's something that got pulled.
Yeah.
It was. And that card would have been a monster. This is completely go on to the relevant point about me talking about this card being a monster. 5-star Ziyech is one of the best dribblers in the league. It's the only thing that lets him down normally is his 2-star weak foot. Obviously, FIFA takes a backseat to what's happening IRL to Chelsea.
Yeah.
It's just an interesting thought process, I guess.
Yeah. And it's kind of what they alluded to when I don't know if you guys saw it, but the Yarmolenko situation as well. Obviously, after some time off and then coming back and coming on for a substitution for Antonio, got a goal, and it was clear, wasn't it, that like football aside, you know, there's just so much obviously going on that is so much bigger than it, and even though he's got to turn up and do his job, because that is essentially what it is. In scoring that goal, it meant far more than just, you know, the 3 points for West Ham or a goal for him, any bonuses he gets or any performance bonuses and things like that. It's all about what is going on at the moment. It's so massive, but it is affecting, like you say, it's affecting EA in terms of this. It's affecting families. It's affecting people personally. It's just, yeah, it's massive. It's changed the world right now.
And to be fair, talking to Yarmolenko, about a month ago, he was hated by a lot of people because he dived against, and I can't even remember the team, but in the FA Cup he dived against a non-league side.
Yeah.
Kidderminster Harriers.
That's it, yeah. Kidderminster Harriers. He's now lauded as he should be.
Yes.
It's a difficult situation for both him. I don't know about you. This is probably taking us on a bit of a tangent, but I think the media needs to stick a little bit away from the footballers as such. Because how do you think it is if you suddenly had a camera thrown in your face because you're Ukrainian with Zinchenko and the likes in sit-down interviews? It's obviously a really trying time for them, but I don't think shoving a camera in their face is the best thing for the situation.
No, I agree with that, and I think I felt like that in that interview with him at the end. I felt like he almost felt forced to say thank you for the support and things, whereas, you know, he's obviously going to be thankful for the support and things, but it felt like that, it was just, you know, just for media. This wasn't because...
I mean, if these are voluntary media stuff, if they're going to the media saying, I want you to put this out here, I want this, that's a different story. But if they're approaching them and going, do you want to do this? We want
you to do this interview because we need you to touch on Ukraine and what's going on there, and yeah, then that's a bit different, isn't it?
Exactly. So if it's voluntary, then yeah, take this with a pinch of salt, but if it's they're pressuring them into doing interviews about this, it's getting bordering on scummy.
It is, yeah. It's taking advantage of a situation in a way, isn't it?
Exactly. No cool segue this week. That's just a good place to leave that when we move on to the team of the week predictions. So in the team of the week, I sadly watched my team play well, but get destroyed by a past it has been that people have been describing as in recent weeks.
Yeah.
I'd not said that.
Second best.
Second best Portuguese striker. No, that's not changed my opinion. Andre Silva scored this week in a 6-1.
Yeah.
So, and I don't actually see on this prediction. Oh no, I do see one. I see a Forsberg prediction. I was going to say, in a 6-1 win, no RB Leipzig player, but there is one. But there easily could be 2 or 3 candidates. I'm going to go into business for myself and say this might be actually the time we do get an Nkunku, where he's got 1 goal, 2 assists in this game.
Okay, well they love an Nkunku special card, don't they? So.
Well, they've been trying to avoid it in recent times. Like when Andre Silva got the inform, he had a shout, I believe. When Andre Silva got man of the match, there was a shout for him as well. They both got 2 contributions, and Andre Silva got the nod. They've been trying to desperately avoid this, and the fact it's 6-1, he's got 3 contributions. I know Angelino got 2 assists in this game.
Yeah.
So there's a shout for him. There's obviously a shout for Forsberg, which I remember him, I believe, scoring and possibly assisting. But I'm going to have to recheck my facts on that game very quickly, just to make sure. But back to the meat and potatoes of the situation. Once to watch Ronaldo owners can finally rejoice that is going to... After actually, this is something I said last week that I laughed about. There was no upgrade on Once to watch Ronaldo. That is the karma.
Yeah.
So that was one thing I said last week, that there was no upgrade on it.
I don't know why there wasn't for the road to the Not Road to the
team of
Knockouts,
the
the
tournament.
team of the tournament card, because
It was-
there usually is, isn't there?
I believe normally cards like that, because they are still performance based, should get it.
Yeah.
It's not like the EA have decided, oh yeah, this guy's getting the team of the tournament. It's not like Road to the
But
Final.
it's not.
where they
Yeah,
do
but it's
that.
not to do with the Premier League. Yeah.
So, taking a look at this, we've got Kai Havertz, who you predicted last week. By the way, for what was just going to address the issue at hand, Brad did get 55% of his predictions last week correct. So that's 5 out of 9.
I'll take it.
Footbin did top him, sadly, despite his bold claim pre-podcast, actually on the podcast last week. They got 65% with 15 of 23. But
Yeah.
they did have a spare day, to be fair. They had a whole
And a
whole
lot more
extra
research.
day's worth of games and a lot
Yeah.
more research. They got all the sort of
Yeah.
low rated
So you're safe,
ones.
Aaron. I'm not coming for your job, mate. Don't worry.
Not yet. Well, he's not put far enough research into it yet.
No.
And I'm not. I'm just reading off Aaron's as a sort of a reward, I guess. I'm just reading off what Aaron's predicted for this week. So Kai Havertz, Alvaro Morata, and Ferran Torres complete the attack. We've got Danny Parejo. That's just gonna be pure fodder. Let's be honest. He's got a much better card from not record breakers, rule breaker.
Oh yeah, rule breakers. Yeah, sorry.
Rule breakers. I can speak. I swear. We've got Griffo getting what I believe is that his third in form. It's definitely got at least one. He's going at 86 rated. Supposedly a cam this time as well. So that will actually be a fairly nice card at cam.
Yep.
Now I'm taking a minute because I'm gonna have to try and pronounce this French Stat Rene player, Brigido. This terrible attempts, but you get the point.
Borgiadio or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to attempt it again because the first time was bad enough. Matthias Ginter at centre back, another fodder, 68 pace, 87 rated. Connor Cody, Matty Cash, which they got down as English here. They've got Matty Cash down as English, but I'm sorry, Aaron. I don't want to be nitpicky. He's actually declared as Polish.
Is he?
Yeah, he's in the Polish national team. Plays alongside Lewandowski. To the bench, I mentioned Forsberg's on there. There's also, for me, Cucho Hernandez. Last year, for those who don't know Cucho Hernandez, the Watford Colombian, he got the Team of the Season honourable mentions, was it? Or moments card for La Liga last year. I believe it was for a volley for Getafe.
Yeah.
So he's getting an inform from this week. He did get 2 goals. I believe he's got 4 goals in the last 2 games. Or 3 games, because I believe he got an own goal in the other game. Harrit, if everyone remembers, our favourite former Schalke player.
Yep.
He's with 5-star skills as well normally. So
crazy
that's
pace.
Marseille. 82 is that I read on there.
Is
I
it?
don't think he's quite as pacey as last year when he was getting player of the months and the likes. And Gravenberch is getting his first inform despite having 2 other special cards already.
Yeah, so it's not even. Yeah, it's kind of mute.
It's not his best card. It's just a card that you go, all right. But you'll just be able to afford his road to the knockouts anyway. Other than that, there's not really too many highlights beyond there. I mean, Saido Berahino's predicted one. Who remembers that guy? He's no longer even English. They've nailed his nation, which I don't want to gamble my flag knowledge on.
The guy who was like waiting for that big transfer one year.
To Tottenham, yeah. Tottenham dodged that bullet and decided to stick with Harry Kane. Those are the days from West Brom. And I believe he's now playing for Sheffield Wednesday. I believe that crest is. So they're the sort of main cards around. Arguably, Ronaldo might get it as a record breaker because he has got officially the most goals in FIFA records. That's just obviously a jab at Pele and his God knows how many fake goals people talk about. Where he played against, I think his friendlies were included in the likes.
Yes, that's it, yeah.
So that's a little jab at that at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, none of them, other than obviously Ronaldo, scream out to me that there'd be someone I'd want to save a premium team of the week pack for. So
I mean, Ferran Torres on the left wing.
what was rating as the card though compared to his future stars?
I mean, it's 84, but
Yeah.
your future stars is worth a mortgage, isn't it?
Yeah, it's probably come down
So-
to about 600 or 700k now, I imagine. But let's have a little look.
I would expect, but it's still a lot. It's an affordable version of a card that I liked earlier in the year, so I'm not going
Anything
to
there take your fancy, Mers?
complain.
Well, CR7 would be an obvious one, but it doesn't seem like a particularly good team of the week, I would say, in comparison to maybe some of the most recent ones, in terms of, especially for fodder and ratings, at a minimum, basically.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Ferran Torres, I was pretty spot on there, 690k. So,
Yeah, about 600k, so about 90 off. And
Yeah.
then the striker version is 800.
800k, yeah. But yeah, I don't know that an 84 would be something that I'd be looking forward to. I think it's just Ronaldo. Am I going to
Of
now
course.
save my premium team of the week pack that I've just literally got?
I
Probably.
don't know if you will, because
Yeah.
if I recall about however many minutes ago, weren't you saying that just because Ronaldo's in this FUT Champs is going to go up despite a rubbish team of the week?
I think because he's in there, I think that more people will play it.
I don't think
Again,
it'll
let
be
us know.
outrageously more. But I feel it's going to be a record breaker card, because that has happened in the past. Don't forget with, and this is very niche knowledge, the last team of the week on FIFA 15,
Yeah.
where Wayne Rooney got a card.
Yes.
There's other examples, but that's my main one that I'm just going to sit there and be proud of.
But yeah, there's nothing there that screams out to me. You know, a card in terms of like a card that is usable. Like you say, there's some that are a bit null and void because they've got better cards.
Yeah,
Like
like Havertz
Gravenberch
as well.
and Havertz.
Havertz has got is that the road to the final card?
Yeah, I've just used it recently. It's actually a really good card. Still in my club. I'm just waiting for the price to rise a little bit. Yeah, Morata got his flashback as well, didn't he? Like you say, Parejo's got his Rule Breakers card.
But EA can't help who's in the team of the week.
No, exactly. If they perform
Also,
well,
actually, I will say Havertz will not make it in for the same reason the special cards for Chelsea thing that EA mentioned.
that is true.
Surely
yeah,
you shut that down.
Yeah, so yeah, Aaron, do your research. Yeah, he won't. Even though that goal was
Mr.
actually insane.
55.5, stepping up here.
That goal was insane. Let's just say.
It was indeed. Talking of insane, though, I'm pretty certain GH has got another question for us.
Yeah, so I was just AFK. So those that are listening, you won't know this, but the ones that are on YouTube watching this, yeah. So when they did the segue, I was AFK for the Q&A section. So we are going to be getting into the Q&A right now. So we're going to start off with GH's question, which was, he says, I know FSB is a FIFA channel, but would you ever consider playing other games together, like once every few weeks or once a month? Maybe even on a second channel just for a laugh and to find something else you all might like playing. Now, to be fair, when we were first originally discussing the whole idea of FSB as a channel and the concept, I did bring up the whole idea of having other games other than FIFA, because during the summer months, especially when FIFA dies down a little bit, or during that, say, maybe July, August, beginning of September period, where there's maybe not so much to talk about, there's probably not as much to do, because like imagine Pack to the Future in August, when you have all special cards in packs. Like, okay, cool, it's nice, but after a week or two, kind of loses its appeal a little bit, I would say, because it's like, oh, we've already packed all the special cards. They're probably all sat in our club, so it's not like no real need for us to open up the packs. You imagine back in September of last year when we had that 85 plus times 10 pack.
Yeah.
And it was just literally specials, and everyone basically was just getting dupes. And Pack to the Future at that sort of time wouldn't probably be as effective to have as a series, and I kind of suggested maybe doing other games during the summer months if we could find a common ground, because I know Luke, likes his F1. He does his F1 league and stuff like that. I tend to play F1 during the summer as well. So that could have been a possibility. But yeah, what do you guys say to that? Like, what would you like? Luke would probably be a good one right now because obviously you're playing other games at the moment other than FIFA. But what do you think to that whole idea, and what do you say to GH and our community?
I mean, I'm extremely open to it. Given my my current FIFA situation, I am absolutely game for doing other things. Obviously, we'd have to find time schedules to work around, etc., as well as providing you the regular content on top of that, maybe. Or maybe certain things go on a week hiatus or so. We don't know, but I'd be very open to it. The different types of games, whether that's free to play games, whether that's indie games, or what that is, we don't know yet. But I'd be extremely happy to sort of branch out a little bit.
I think so. The one thing to sort of first address is obviously, like, you know, we don't have a massive following, right? So we do this because we enjoy it. That's first of all. And I think anyway, you have to do it to enjoy it, or you have to enjoy it rather to do it, because otherwise, if you're focusing on numbers and focusing on growth and things like that, it probably just won't happen. You have to enjoy it and see it as a hobby, and then if something comes of it, great. But what we have discussed recently was, in sort of terms of that, was like the when we first talked about the FSB, wasn't it? It was about trying, like, in a sense, keeping like this period, so the period that FIFA is here for has to kind of be dedicated to this, to kind of show direction and commitment to the game and the channel. But yeah, there's an off season, of course there is. There's a time when in between the game, or like Mers said, towards the end of the game, where it is very stagnant, that there is something else for us to do. So I'd be open to, during that time, to be doing content. We may still do a podcast because we still want to obviously maybe touch on international football if there's things like that at the time, or just touch on like potential transfers, because that's obviously a more exciting time for football. But there won't be a lot to talk about in terms of FIFA, so the podcast is probably going to change if we keep it up during those months. But yes, you're probably not going to see a pack to the future. You might still see a draft depending on how draft goes at that time, but it will just depend on how we are. In terms of other games, I mean, when FIFA is as it is, like it is now, I'm pretty much only have enough time to be able to do this. So when we don't then do this, I'll have more time to either play this but play it a bit more socially than I do, or I'll play some of the other games I play. Now at the moment, the only other game I play is actually Call of Duty, and I just tend to jump on there with my brother and his friends when they're available, and if they're all on at the same time. The one game though that I would like to have a go at, and I've seen recently, I just saw Nerdfire was streaming it the other day, is WWE 2K22. Now I know for a fact Mers is probably not going to be interested in that. He's not a wrestling fan, so that would be something that me and Luke would be interested in doing, and we've been a fan of the WWE games in the past and we have talked about it. But that's the thing, I think finding another game that all three of us are involved in, we came together because of FIFA, so it's then tough to kind of find something that we all interlock with. So yeah, I like they're definitely, what you might see more likely is that we'll still do something in that period, but you might find that we stream different things, or we do different things just for those couple of months when we're waiting to get back on this again when FIFA 23 makes an appearance.
Or it could be potentially, what I would say is when you, because every month you get those 2 or maybe even sometimes more free games from Sony in the store. Maybe it's a new game that none of us have seen.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
but looks a bit interesting, and it could be like a tryout and maybe potentially like review-esque style situation. Like we could the podcast could even potentially have that sort of situation where the podcast is, or a mini cast, where we all playing the game and we're talking along at the same time about the game, just as a play along situation.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
maybe I don't know
it's
about
creating
play
ideas.
as such, but a play along might get a little bit too chaotic for a podcast, but I think it may be a perspective afterwards, so we've just come
like a
from it.
Review, yeah.
As the review would be a good shout, because I think the play along would probably be just a standalone video
Yeah, I think with that,
twice the content.
Yeah, I think with that as well, like the gameplay or like a post review, but with some gameplay in there, will be really good for YouTube. With a podcast, obviously, people kind of really need to see what we're talking about a little bit. Otherwise, we're going to have to pretty much describe the game, which, depending on how in depth a game is, might take a little while. And we don't want to, sort of bore everyone with having to run through the exact details of what a game is. But if there's like Mo said, if there is something on there that piques all of our interests and is a good game for us to be able to play as a multiplayer, yeah, definitely, I'll be up for that.
You don't want to go into the visually impaired market and do audio description gameplay.
Yeah. Lord Mersgoth is throwing an axe at... Yeah, no, I'll probably not.
We're going to quickly touch on this, because to be fair, I think this is quite an easy one to answer, because we are talking about promos every single week, and we give our thoughts about the promos, and normally we say, oh, this is like the worst, and this one's the best. But Footix has asked, what have been the best and worst promos of FIFA 22 so far, in your opinion? I think we all can say Numbers Up is the worst.
By far the worst.
Future Stars is the best.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with both. Not just to be different, but also slightly actually just not liking other promos. I think Fire and Ice is worse than Numbers Up.
Oh, that's a good shout, actually, because they did get very confused with Fire and Ice.
2 weeks. And it was just
showed no direction.
Mess of...
Yeah.
I personally just don't have any love for that promo.
That's a good show.
And what they followed up with would be my favourite promo, Winter Wildcards. I prefer that to Future Stars this year. Normally, Future Stars would be top of my list, but I think they hit it out the park with Winter Wildcards, and they made better use of the token system, which that introduced it into separate promos. Normally it was left just for icon swaps, but that's the one that introduced it, so I would give it more credit than Future Stars for the way it was implemented. That's my personal.
Okay, so
I'm inclined to agree with Luke in the sense of, like, Fire and Ice had, again, way more this is the thing that I think that sways me towards Fire and Ice, actually, is that it actually had more potential to be good than Numbers Up did, because of the way they could have made those cards so different and made them, given them such good increases and changes and things, and it didn't actually show any direction in the end. Whereas Numbers Up, well, we know what it was, and it actually, although it couldn't really do much, could it? It was just going to be this stat is going to be boosted to 99 at the end, and these stats are going to increase a little bit as and when the months come. But really, that's not, that's almost a bit likened to the screen cards that year, when they said, oh, these are screen cards and they're going to change and morph throughout the year, and they'll have better stats for this and better stats for that, and then EA completely forgot about them.
Yeah, well, no, I don't know how much they forgot about them that year. That year, I think they just gave them out, and it was what I believe they got 6 upgrades. That promo. They changed the stat that got upgraded each time. So sometime it would be pace, and then they'd remove the pace and give them passing and dribbling, and then that would become. So I remember Mandzukic being OP for a while with 90 pace, 90 shooting. Like that was one of the more fun cards that I've used. If I'm looking back at random underrated fun cards, I think of that year's.
Was that also the year that Bastos was there?
I believe it was.
Yeah, because that was an interesting card, and that got the pace as well.
That and Fellaini, my boy, getting those cards.
But they were stuck. There was a period in the game though where they were stuck on the same thing for months.
Very true, but it was at least with Numbers Up. This is still scheduled. I believe it's April is when it's upcoming for the last one. Yeah. But at least there's something to push it on. So Jota is a very good card alongside Felix, and Eder Militao will become absolutely ridiculous. Even though he's not getting the pace boost, obviously they're getting +2s in the rest of the stats. I think he's about, I'm going to say it'll be about, if off memory, about 88 pace plus insane dribble. I think he had dribbling. So he's going to have incredible balance, incredible. So he's going to be the most agile defender with just shy of 90 pace. Slap a shadow on that and it's going to be an outrageous card. Like, it's going to have that potential that someone like Fire and Ice could have had, where it just went, oh yeah, Jesus is going to get a +3 on shooting compared to his fire card or something. But that's just, it's like you've just put like a little bit of an inform on it.
The thing is there as well with that Eder Militao card, I think, because if they release an SBC close at the time, like they've done the year in review thing, and they make or they release a pack or something where they're available to get, something like that, then if actually people pack that card towards the end, it might reinvent some people's teams, because you don't see a lot of La Liga at the moment. Yeah. And so actually, like, it might just give people that little sort of what we're talking about again, like invigorating the game, just for them to actually like go, oh, now I've got this Eder Militao, I'm going to reinvent my defence for this team. And then, you might see anything more than a Ligue 1, as you said, Mers, towards the end of FIFA.
Well, that would be it. And last question, more like a flex, shall we say? Hey, Venom, totally not flexing, he says.
Oh God,
I would say otherwise. So he says, might have been a bit late because he's put this out just as we're recording. Have you ever packed Prime Eusebio and FUT Birthday Sancho tradable? Because the Jammy Git went and packed both of them tradable over the weekend.
That's absolutely a flex. I know I packed 2 Ronaldos in the space of 2 weeks on FIFA 15. They were normal Ronaldos, but
I packed my first Cristiano Ronaldo since I played the game this year.
Yeah, two and two
no
weeks
is the
on
answer.
FIFA 15.
Yep.
My left back Maldini, I got, and then a week later I got Messi. If we're looking for good follow-up pack luck, it's not quite Eusebio, but that totaled about 2 million at the time, I think.
I mean, if you want to flex, just talk about yours last year.
True. I mean, this is actually this is very right. This is a bigger flex and it's worth more. So Venom, if you want flexing, just watch the 9,500k packs video on my channel. Humble flex for the first time in a while. I mean, just check out Prime Moments Vieira and his favourite Jamie Vardy. Quote the CDM of dreams at the time.
Yeah, wow. my best ever pull, and actually that year I packed him 3 times, was a Team of the Year Messi. And yeah, that year I actually packed his normal card anyway twice, and it weren't like it is this year. He weren't fodder, he was still a decent amount of money. That was probably my most insane year for packing players, but generally I've not ever had any other kind of like insane pulls. This is the first year I've not packed a Team of the Year, so I suppose that's one thing. But this year I've not packed anything that great.
I mean, it's not quite the same level flex in terms of value, but it's a bit of a funny one. I packed Team of the Season De Jong 3 times, all untradeable, unfortunately, but it's fodder, good high rated fodder for the other 2. But 2 mil player packed 3 times during La Liga Team of the Season last year.
That's insane.
So, I recall that happening. Yeah. I believe Chuff opened one of them for you.
You did. That was the guaranteed one.
Where it was on video, oh, that's really good, and then realises it's a dupe untradeable. And that becomes very awkward. Very quickly.
Yes. I did pack Team of the Season Messi in FIFA 20, and that was on the Xbox side of things. However, I do not have it anymore because my kids sent everything on that account into SBCs.
In the same vein, you don't actually have the 99 Neymar because of Akan.
Oh, yes, that is the red pick. No, that was the red pick Neymar. That was red pick Neymar that I got.
98.
And my Team of the Year Ronaldo.
Okay.
As well, that I had to submit into SBCs. I love this. I recently had to put my flashback Neymar into an SBC thanks to Roman.
Oh, I love that card. It's
discard.
Search and discard on stream.
My favourite card.
What's your favourite card, sorry?
That flashback Neymar in my team. He's my favourite card.
He's not mine. He's not that good.
Ooh. I wonder whose Luke's favourite card is. Is it Andre Silva?
It's that Prime Puskas I own,
Ah, the Puskas, okay.
I'm not
Not
the
Andre
one-trick
Silva,
pony.
then.
I'm not the one-trick pony, Mers.
Okay. Alright. I mean, 2-trick pony
Yeah.
then. Puskas and Andre Silva.
Yeah.
The ultimate combo.
I mean, Belhanda exists, but we move. I've got multiple club icons. Let's not mess about here. I've got multiple club icons.
But I feel Andre Silva's at just a whole new level.
Oh yeah, he is. He's the first. He's the first one I bought a shirt for.
Yes. And
But I also
your
have
whole
a Puskas
background
shirt.
is like Andre Silva. Disc plate, scarf,
Yep.
picture. Oh no,
That's the
that's
display.
the display,
That's the
isn't it?
display.
Yeah. Shirts. Times 1 or 2?
Times 2 because both of them are the icon kit. And there's one Puskas, one Andre Silva, and then one Leipzig Andre Silva one. But
next year it's going to be
fun.
Andre Silva wallpaper.
I don't know about going that far. This isn't my
Andre
room.
Silva haircut.
I mean, I wish I could pull that off. Gonna get lengthier eyebrows.
It's interesting that you know that he's
we'll
got
have to
lengthier eyebrows than you.
Well, fair enough. I've looked at the damn card so damn much. It's not difficult. When you look at a card, you go, yeah, no, that's a noticeable feature. Pretty damn clear.
How many times have you looked at
Yeah,
that,
I was gonna say,
that
yeah.
FIFA card now?
How many times have I used it, or how many times have I looked at it? If it's
Wow, I would imagine looking at it would be similar amount of times to played with it, I guess.
No,
Yeah,
you got to
I'm-
have packed it more, surely.
oh yeah,
I
absolutely.
suppose.
But I'm gonna say I've used him about 750 times now across
That's
both
a lot
accounts,
of games.
and that's just the ones to watch.
Oh, that reminds me,
I
actually. I
want
was
to
going to message you the other day because I was going to send him into the Icon SBC.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
It's literally Luke has stopped me
doesn't
from doing it.
affect him. Oh,
That's the power he has.
I've got power over people. It's fine. You know, people sometimes cough gurk decide to just go, oh, I've got the red pick version though. Where's your red pick version? Talks about stuff like that. I'm shocked no one's packed the 87 and started flexing on me. But I've got the ones to watch. It's technically all I need. Hopefully he gets the team in the season, but I don't think it's going to happen.
If you ever get a special card of Andre Silva, make sure to tag Luke over on Twitter.
Yeah, Elstormy64.
Yeah. See, that's exactly what I do whenever I pack a Man City special. I just...
Are you gonna
Well,
say
now you're going to be
at-
having the
say it right
tag
this
at
time?
this is FG _
This is FG, yeah. I just at him every single time. I did it with the John Stones. In the past, I've done it with Foden. When I had him as a red pick. I've done it a few times now. I know he blocked me at one point because I ended up showing him the Summer Heat Foden. Oh, not Summer Heat. Was that the Festival? Whichever way around it was.
I obviously don't know whether he's packed this De Bruyne, but isn't De Bruyne the only special card he's not packed this year?
The Team of the Year, I know he didn't pack. I know that was a thing. I know me and him last year had a race to try and get the right forward De Bruyne. We both got it in the end, but sadly he won by about 10 minutes.
Ooh, that's quite a close one then.
Yeah. I mean, I was doing it on my laptop, and he was streaming it, so you know, I could have just lied, but he beat me by a good 10 minutes. But I did pack Jack Grealish, and he'd already packed it at that point, so it didn't matter. But I still at him. It's always fun.
Well, that is all the questions that were sent to us for this week's Q&A. So we're going to be leaving it on that note with the Andre Silva talk and all that, and GH. Maybe GH, just a quick one. If you have any game suggestions, or anybody else has any game suggestions that we could potentially play during summer months or try out at any point, feel free to comment to us over on Twitter at FSB Creators, or even on our own individual Twitter accounts. Everything will be in the description down below. But thank you for listening to this week's episode of the FUT Tears podcast. Luke and Brad, thank you for participating in the podcast as always.
Always a pleasure.
No problem at all.
And we will see you all in the next episode.
Peace out,
ya.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.